Hi friends, Krista here. Thank you so much for stopping by Books and Jams. I'm very excited because it's been a few months since I have shared a library haul with you. So today we're going to be talking about all the books that I currently have checked out from the library. If you watched my goals video at the beginning of the year, one of my goals was no book buying for 6 months of the year. The only exception to that is Book of the Month. So I do have 2 books to show you that I've hauled in January. However, one of them is from Book of the Month and one of them was sent to me. So I feel like I can count January as one of the months where I didn't spend any books. Yay, 5 more to go throughout the rest of the year. But the reason that I wanted to get a Book of the Month box, even though for the last couple months they had sponsored some videos and sent me all the books, but I did complete the challenge in 2021 and therefore I received a pair of socks. But I had to get one of my boxes in order to get the socks, and I didn't know how long the socks would remain in the cart. So I just ended up buying some books. Only going to show you one of them because the others are going to be for some patron stuff I'm going to be doing. But these are the socks that I got from Book of the Month for completing my challenge in 2021. Aren't they cute? I think they're cute. Super fun. And the book that I added to my cart is Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. This is not one that stood out to me until it was on a number of people's best books of the year. And when they talked about it, it just sounded interesting to me. It's a super short standalone fantasy by Susanna Clarke. From what I understand, Piranesi lives in this house that is constantly changing and it's kind of a labyrinth. There are staircases that get flooded by oceans. There are tides. There are endless rooms, endless hallways, endless staircases, and he lives to study and learn the house. And so he just is constantly exploring the house. There's another character called the Other who is searching for knowledge or information. He comes to visit Piranesi a couple times a week and he asks for insight into this great and secret knowledge. And then he kind of learns about this other possible world outside of everything that he knows. I don't really know too much about it, but when people were describing it as their best of the year, I was curious enough to add it to my cart from Book of the Month. So I did haul that one. And then I also was gifted this book from Melinda, which just made my heart so happy when it came. Melinda is one of my subscribers and she constantly helps me stock my Newbery shelf. But I think I mentioned this in a video one time, but this is the first Encyclopedia Brown book. It's a detective story for middle graders, early readers almost. It's quite short. This is by Donald Sobel. And I loved Encyclopedia Brown when I was growing up. It was my first kind of foray into mystery. I was not a Nancy Drew or Hardy Boys person, but I definitely loved Encyclopedia Brown. So this is a really fun, nostalgic book for me to have. So Melinda, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm so excited to have this on my middle grade shelf. Oh, so fun. So fun. But now let's jump into the 10 books that I currently have checked out from the library. I don't think that I'll be able to get to all of these before they need to go back, but I'd like to hope that I can. And yet also I have a big TBR for February. I have a lot of books on my shelves I want to read. I have all these goals I'm working towards, but let me just share with you what has stood out to me at the library in the last couple days, weeks, and share with you what I've got. So the first 2 are on my winter anticipated releases video that I did in December for January, February, and March. So these ones are recent releases. The first one, I sadly did not get approved for this on NetGalley. So many people did. I did not. I think I was late to the party and requesting it, but that's Diane Chamberlain's The Last House on the Street. I believe that some have been reading this and enjoying it already. Some have been a little bit disappointed by it. It has dual timeline. It takes place in North Carolina, as all of Diane Chamberlain's books do. In 1965, we follow Ellie, who is kind of a young woman who has all of these expectations of who to marry and what kind of life to live. And she doesn't want to follow the norm of what's expected of her. Instead, she wants to get involved with the civil rights movement and wants to help with marginalized people and their voter rights and all of these things. And so we follow her storyline. We also follow in 2010, Kayla and her husband. She's an architect and they built a house in this neighborhood, the same neighborhood where Ellie lived. And they have all these plans for their future. And unfortunately, the husband dies in an accident and things are just not quite the same. And they had been warned about this neighborhood and about the secrets of the past. And I'm just very curious to read this one. I have loved Diane Chamberlain in the past, so I'm very hopeful that I will like this one as well. Then the other anticipated read that I have out from the library right now is Gilded by Marissa Meyer. Oh, I'm so excited for this one. I recently reread the Lunar Chronicles by her, and that is a fairy tale retelling. And this also is a fairy tale retelling of Rumpelstiltskin. It's quite big. I wasn't prepared for how big it would be, but the Lunar Chronicles are all big as well, and I fly through them. So I don't really know anything about the specific plot of this one, except that it's a Rumpelstiltskin retelling, and I think it's going to be a little bit dark. But Rumpelstiltskin is kind of a dark fairy tale anyway, so I'm just excited to give it a try and dive back into a Marissa Meyer book. So hopefully I can get to that one. The next two were on my February TBR because they are patron picks. One of them is from January, Sparks Like Stars by Nadia Hashimi. I'm very excited to read this one. I've just recently talked about it. And then also Born Behind Bars by Padma Venkatraman. And I also have just talked about this one as well. This one is a middle grade, so it should be pretty quick, and I'm definitely planning on getting to those two. Amanda from the Curly Reader recently talked about this book on her channel, No Words by Meg Cabot, and as she talked about it, it just sounded so much like something I would really enjoy. In this book, we follow two authors who go to a book festival at the Florida Keys, an island off of the Florida Keys or something like that. And one of them is a children's book author, and she has said she's never going to be anywhere around the other author because they're kind of a nemesis to each other. So it's going to be a hate to love, two authors. I'm just really excited. A rom-com. Sounds like so much fun. The next book I have is one of my NetGalley books, one of my older NetGalley books, After the Bloom by Leslie Shimotakahara. This one is set in the mid-1980s, but it's going to talk about the Japanese internment camps after World War II. Lily, the mother, goes missing. Her daughter Rita knows her mother has a history of dissociation and memory problems, which have led her to wander off before. She doesn't think the police are taking her seriously. She's forced to confront a labyrinth of secrets surrounding the family's internment at a camp in the California desert during the Second World War, their post-war immigration to Toronto, and the father that she has never known. So, sounds like it's going to be really good. I am hoping to knock another NetGalley book off by reading that one. The last four that I have are middle grade books, and I specifically got these three because the Newbery was just announced on January 24th, and I'm a part of, a not very active member, but I'm a part of a group on Goodreads called the Mock Newbery, and throughout the year, they just talk about quality middle grade books that they're reading in there. I like to look there occasionally for recommendations, but at the end of the year, as the Newbery Award is about to be announced, they kind of narrow down all their choices and have this big voting thing and narrow it down to, I think, 5 or 6 books that have kind of floated to the top of their conversation throughout the year. So I had read a handful of them already, but 3 of them I had not yet read. So I'm like, let me get those out from the library, because if so many people are loving them, I probably want to read them as well. So the first one is a book written in verse, Red, White, and Whole by Rajani Laraka. This is about a young Indian American who is just feeling torn between her Americanized life that's at school, where she doesn't feel like she fits in, but then also at home in her Indian neighborhood and with her family. She doesn't really connect well with her mom, but then she learns that her mother is sick, and everything kind of gets thrown off of its axis. I think that sounds like it's going to be really good. Red, White, and Whole. I'm excited to read that one, and it's in verse, so I should be able to get to it really quick. This next book has been talked about and loved by so many, and it's about time that I finally read it. It's Starfish by Lisa Phipps. This is about Ellie, who is, I think, 5th or 6th grader, who is fat and has been bullied greatly. She goes to therapy, but it talks a lot about fat shaming and fitting in and finding non-judgmental friends. And I've just heard that it's stellar, like that it's just really done well. And I'm really excited to read that one. So it's a contemporary set in school setting, all that. The last one that I got from that Mock Newbery group is one that I've been wanting to read anyway, because Kate DiCamillo is one of my favorite middle grade authors. And this is the Beatrice Prophecy. And this is going to take place in the Middle Ages, I want to say. Look how beautiful. Oh man, that's pretty. There's one creature that the monks of Chronicles of Sorrowing fear above all others, Answellica the goat. The monks fear her sharp teeth and her hard head and her wily ways. And so imagine Brother Edict's terror when he goes to feed Answellica one morning and finds a child in the pen with the demon goat. The child does not know where she came from. She does not know who her people are. She remembers only one thing, her name, Beatrice. The king's men, however, know who the child is and they are searching for her. Ooh, I love Kate Camillo, so I'll pretty much read anything she writes. And the last book that I have out from the library is actually the Newbery winner for this year. I watched the end of the live announcement on Monday, the 24th. As soon as they announced the winner, I went to my library website and put it on hold so that I could hopefully be close to the top of the list, because I have a feeling that the holds list is really long for this one, but I'm very excited to read it. It's called The Last Quintista by Donna Barbara Iguera. This is a sci-fi, which is fantastic, with storytelling at the core. Petra, our main character, wanted nothing more than to be a storyteller like her abuelita, her grandmother. But Petra's world is ending. Earth has been destroyed by a comet, so it already has been destroyed. And only a few hundred scientists and their children, among them Petra and her family, have been chosen to journey to a new planet. They are the ones who must carry on the human race. The sinister collective has taken over the ship during its journey. Bent on erasing the sins of humanity's past, they have systematically purged the memories of all aboard, or purged them altogether. Petra alone now carries the stories of the past, and with them, any hope for the future. Can she make them live again? I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I love this cover so much, and I love that a sci-fi won a Newbery. That's fantastic. These are heavy. So here are the 10 books I currently have checked out from the library. How many do you think I'm actually going to get to? A handful of them are middle grade, and I'm going to try to find some of them on audio, but I would love to hear from you. Have you read any of these books? Are you also excited for any of them? Have you heard of this? The Newbery winner? I had never even heard of it before. But yeah, let's talk about these books or any other books that you would like to talk about, or anything you want to talk about down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching and spending time with me today. It means so much that you took time out of your day to hang out with me. And I look forward to talking with you in another video very soon. Bye.